What was really surprising though was how big it was. I mean, this thing was really big, like too big to send through the mail. It had arrived at their house on a specifically reinforced double-wide flatbed truck with 28 wheels. Tom counted. It was giant and black and incredibly complicated. In fact, it didn't look like a toy at all. It looked like an actual real-life-size steam train. That, Uncle Herbert explained, was because it was one. It was one. Uncle Herbert has come to deliver it personally in a banana yellow Tesla so insanely slick and tricked out it looked like one of Tom's Hot Wheels. He was fat, thinning brown hair and a round, mild-mannered face. He looked like a history teacher or somebody who might take tickets as an amusement park. He wore shiny blue leather shoes and a banana yellow suit that perfectly matched his car. Kate and Tom came running out to stare at the train. Kate had lots of straight brown hair cut to the length of her chin and a sharp little nose that gave her a slightly princessy look, though she wasn't really especially princessy. Tom's hair was short and blonde and tuffy, like a guinea pig that just woke up. But he had the same nose, which on him looked princely instead. She was so surprised she couldn't think of anything to say. "That is a really big train," was all she came up with. It would have to do. It's not a whole train," Uncle Herbert said modestly. "Just the engine and tender. That's the gold car right behind it." "How much does it weigh?" Tom asked. 100 tons, Uncle Herbert said crisply. "What exactly?" Kate said. "Like it literally weighs exactly 100 tons. "Well, no," Uncle Herbert said. "It weighs 102 tons, 102.36. You're right to be suspicious of overly round numbers." "I thought so," said Kate, who was. "You really don't appreciate how incredibly colossal a steam locomotive is till one shows up parked on the street in front of your house. This one was about 15 feet high and 50 feet long, and it had a headlight and a smokestack and a bell and a whole lot of pipes and pistons and rods and valves and valve handles on it. The wheels alone were twice her height. Kate's father came out of the house too. In fact, most of the people on the street came out to look at the train. He put his hands on his hips. "Herbert," he said, "what the blazes is this?" He didn't really say blazes, but you can't put the word he say in a book for children. "It's a train," Uncle Herbert said. "A steam train." "I can see that, but what is it doing here?" "On a truck, so very close to my house." "It's a present for Kate and Tom, I guess, if she wants to share." He turned to Kate and Tom. "Sharing is important." Uncle Herbert definitely didn't have much experience with kids. "Well, it's a nice gesture," Kate's father said, rubbing his chin. "But couldn't you have just sent her a toy?" "It's a toy." "Well, no, Herbert, that's not a toy. That's a real train." "I suppose," Uncle Herbert said. "But technically, if she's going to play with it, then sort of, by definition, it's also a toy if you think about it." Kate's father stopped and thought about it, which was a tactical error. What he probably should have done, Kate thought, was lose his temper and call the police. Her mother didn't have this problem. She came tearing out of the house, yelling, "Herbert, you blazing blockhead. What the blaze do you think you're doing? Get this thing out of here. Kids, get off the train." She said that last part because while all this was going on, Kate and Tom had gone up to the flatbed truck and were starting to climb up the sides of the train. They couldn't stop themselves. With all the pipes and knobs and spokes and whatnot, it was like rock climbing. They reluctantly got off it and retreated to a safe distance. But Kate still couldn't stop looking at it. It was giant and black and complicated, with lots of fiddly little bits that obviously did interesting things, and a cozy little cab that you could sit in. It looked ominous and fascinating, like a sleeping dinosaur. The longer you looked at it, the more interesting it got. And it was real. It was almost like she'd been waiting for it without knowing it. She kind of loved it. Stenciled along the side of the tender in small white capital letters were the words, "The Silver Arrow." That was its name. It written it with a long, thin arrow sticking through the letters.